Making headlines this hour. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz extends condolences to Sri Lanka after extreme weather causes severe flooding and deadly landslides. Islamic Minister Dr. Muhammad Shaheen inaugurates the Shahid Umar Ahmad Islamic Center, a major new institution in Diddu. And Housing Ministry takes over awarding of 100 Tuladu social units after legal disputes and council delays. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz extends condolences to Sri Lanka after extreme weather brought unprecedented rainfall, widespread flooding, and deadly landslides across the island nation. His message underscored solidarity between the Maldives and Sri Lanka as the latter confronts one of its most severe natural disasters in recent memory. Sri Lanka recorded 360 millimeters of rain over 2 days, the highest accumulation in such a short span in recent history. The deluge, accompanied by strong winds, inundated communities and triggered landslides across multiple regions. In response, the Sri Lanka Meteorological Department issued its first ever red alert, reflecting the extraordinary scale of the crisis. The human toll has been devastating. The Disaster Management Center reported 56 deaths, with 21 people still missing. Among those killed, 26 were buried in mudslides in the tea-growing Badulla district in the island's central region. 14 people remained hospitalized, while the disaster has affected 5,893 individuals across 1,729 families. President Muiz's remarks conveyed sorrow over the destruction and affirmed that the Maldivian people stand alongside Sri Lanka during this period of grief. The President's office officially denies reports suggesting that participants must submit questions or comments in advance of the ongoing series of community meetings with President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. The clarification comes amidst ongoing public engagement sessions being held across the Greater Malé area. Hina Walid, spokesperson for the President's office, emphasized that the primary purpose of these meetings is to facilitate open dialogue and gather direct feedback from the public. She added the President's office is hosting these meetings to actively seek out and understand the views and consultations of the people on various critical issues. She further elaborated that President Muiz has consistently encouraged attendees to freely express their thoughts and concerns, a practice that has been observed in previous consultations and will continue. Hina insisted that the President has always provided the opportunity for anyone participating in these meetings to freely voice their opinions and concerns, affirming that this same procedure will be followed in all future engagements. President Muiz has initiated a series of neighborhood-specific meetings, beginning with sessions in Vilingili and Machangoli wards. These gatherings are specifically designed to offer a platform for residents to directly raise questions and share their ideas with the head of state. The Minister of Islamic Affairs, Dr. Muhammad Shaheen Ali Saeed, inaugurates the Shahid Umar Ahmad Islamic Center, a major new institution in Diddu, Ha Alif Atoll. The opening, timed to coincide with Friday prayer, commemorates Shahid Umar Ahmad, a native of the island, who was martyred on the 3rd of November 1988 while serving at the Islamic Center in Malé during a mercenary assault on the Maldivian capital. Constructed by Rashid Carpentry and Construction Private Limited, with government investment of $3.24 million, the mosque accommodates 1,500 worshippers. The expansion is regarded as critical in addressing a persistent shortage of prayer space, as only 3 of Diddu's 6 mosques had previously been able to host congregations of sufficient size for Friday prayers. The center has been conceived as more than a mosque, incorporating an Islamic library facility and an outreach office affiliated with the National Center for the Holy Quran. Academic facilities include 5 classrooms for 30 students each, 2 seminar rooms, office space, and a multipurpose hall with capacity for 450 people. Situated on reclaimed land where new residents are settling, the center is intended to ease the wider issue of mosque capacity while offering substantial relief to the inhabitants of this expanding neighborhood. An intensive care unit, or ICU, is established at the Noon Atoll Hospital in Manado. The facility was officially inaugurated by the Minister of Health, Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim, during the ongoing tour of inhabited islands across Noon Atoll. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, the minister said the ICU is a testament of the success of President Dr. Mohamed Muizz's policies to enhance services in the atolls. Its establishment will be beneficial to the entire atoll, he said, adding that it was a service long awaited by residents. As part of the same trip, the foundation stone for a new building in Mafaru Health Center was also laid, alongside an upgrade of the center's operating hours from 16 hours to a full 24-hour service. The new building will introduce modern facilities, including X-ray services, reducing the need for residents to travel elsewhere for treatment. The building's construction has been handed over to Fenica Corporation Limited. With the health center now providing services around the clock, it will ensure that patients have continuous access to medical services at all hours, including during emergencies. Plans for further upgrades at the health center include increasing bed capacity and developing additional facilities such as a nurse station, meeting hall, public health unit, and a portico. We now bring you the call to prayer for Isha.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
PSM ಗೆ ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತಕ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತ ಮಿಹಾರು PSM Air application nu tiya befrunna hile balalevene adi aduwa halevene duniyage komme taagu huregen komme gadiyaku PSM ge channel ta balaluma avaha PSM Air app download kurava miharu app store una Google Play Store invest mi app download kollevene.
Welcome back to our English news broadcast. We continue with the local headlines. The health center in Landu, Noon Atoll, begins 24-hour operations, fulfilling a central policy commitment by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. Minister of Health Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim inaugurated the expanded service at a ceremony attended by local council members, heads of island institutions, and senior officials from the health ministry. For the island's population of about 1,100, the change represents a significant improvement. Until now, the center operated for 16 hours daily, leaving residents in need of urgent care at night to travel to neighboring islands. In his remarks, the minister noted that extending services in more populous islands such as Landu strengthens the overall delivery of healthcare nationwide. He said the government's policy of reinforcing island health facilities is expected to provide substantial benefits, offering residents both immediate access and long-term assurance. The transition ensures that emergency medical services are available locally at any time, eliminating the need for costly and time-consuming travel during ongoing medical crisis. Officials noted that the initiative will reduce the burden of travel and ease the financial strain associated with seeking treatment elsewhere. The government has reiterated that its broader objective is to fortify the health system across the atolls, ensuring that high-quality healthcare is accessible to every island community in the country. The Ministry of Cities and Local Government and Public Works announces the construction of 50 new council offices across the Maldives, funded by a grant from the Chinese government, is set to commence early next year. Deputy Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works, Yamin Abdul Wahab, confirmed the imminent start of the project to PSM News. He elaborated that the initiative is backed by the China International Development Cooperation Agency, or CIDCA, and will involve the erection of prefabricated buildings as part of a design and build framework. The islands designated to receive these new council offices have already been identified. Yamin highlighted the thorough preparatory work undertaken by Chinese officials in the past few months to do the necessary groundwork to commence the project, underscoring the commitment to quality, cultural and environmental relevance in the design. The project will feature both one-story and two-story buildings. This initiative runs parallel to efforts by the Rashid Carpentry and Construction Company, which is developing an additional 55 council offices. Once both projects are underway, the ministry projects that 75% of all planned council buildings will be completed by the end of next year, providing essential administrative infrastructure across the archipelago. The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure announces its decision to take over the process of awarding 100 social housing units in Tuladuba Atoll following legal disputes, protracted delays, and a lack of cooperation from the local island council. The move comes after a court ruling invalidated amendments made by the Tuladu Island Council to the allocation criteria and halted the previous allocation process. According to a statement from the ministry, the housing units were initially opened for application under rules established by the previous government's Ministry of Housing. However, the allocation process hit a snag when a court case was filed in the Tuladu Magistrates Court. The plaintiff sought to declare invalid an amended criteria for allocating the units, as well as a provisional list published by the Tuladu Council Office on the 9th of October 2023, which was based on this amended criteria. The court subsequently ruled that the legitimate and original recommendations of the Ministry of Housing from 2022 should be followed, deeming the Council's amended criteria an illegal change. Despite this clear court directive, the housing units remained unallocated to date. The ministry emphasized that its policy is to ensure housing is provided to those in need as swiftly as possible. It accused the Tuladu Island Council of failing to cooperate in resolving the issue quickly, thereby impeding the government's objectives. The ministry further noted that prolonged delays risk beneficiaries losing their rights and could lead to significant damage to the buildings, incurring expensive repair and maintenance costs before the units can even be handed over. Consequently, the ministry has terminated all responsibilities and duties assigned to the Tuladu Council regarding the determination of beneficiaries for the social housing project. The ministry will now cancel the permanent list announced by the Tuladu Island Council on the 18th of September and will re-evaluate all submitted forms. This re-evaluation will adhere strictly to the criteria published on the 11th of May 2022 and directives issued by the then Ministry of Housing, with the allocation process to be conducted among applicants in accordance with rules formulated by the ministry and published in the Government Gazette. The Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Welfare announces that 2,000 individuals have so far been granted special permission to import plants, shrubs, and plant products into the Maldives, underscoring the nation's stringent regulatory framework for plant imports. All such imports necessitate a special permit issued by the ministry, which can be requested conveniently through the online Makudi portal. In a focused effort to prevent the spread of pests, the ministry has also authorized the movement of plants and plant products between islands, with 28 permits issued specifically for islands declared free of the hispid beetle. This measure highlights the critical importance placed on protecting local ecosystems from invasive species. Beyond individual permits, the ministry detailed broader commercial activities within the sector. 3 companies have been approved for the export of palm trees, while another 3 companies have received permission for the importation of trees and tree products on a large scale. Additionally, 1,057 companies have been granted permits for the import of various agricultural chemicals and pesticides essential for farming practices. Official statistics reveal the significant volume of plant material entering the country. Between January and April this year, a total of 3,869,648 plants, shrubs, and plant products were imported from abroad across 405 separate shipments. To safeguard national biosecurity, the ministry reiterated strict guidelines for both imports and exports. Plants and plant parts destined for export from the Maldives require a phytosanitary certificate. Conversely, all imports of herbs, plant products, and other regulated materials must be accompanied by a phytosanitary certificate issued by the National Plant Protection Organization, or NPPO, of exporting the country in strict adherence to the Plant Protection Act. The ministry further stressed that it is explicitly prohibited to cultivate, possess, sell, offer for sale, transport, or deliver any plants, plant products, or regulated articles known to be infected with a quarantinable pest. Insights into business. Among the ruins of Gaza's Khan Yunis, 2 businesses that once sustained many Palestinian families' struggles to revive their operations, weeks after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas came into effect. The destruction of the businesses during the 2-year war has not only impacted their owners, but the many workers and their families who relied on them for income. At the site of one of Al-Ari factories, owner Taha Al-Maqatma, 45, walked through the area where ice cream, chocolate-coated marshmallow treats, and biscuits were once being produced. Al-Maqatma said that his factory used to employ more than 200 workers before the war, with its monthly revenue reaching as high as $30,000 to $50,000, especially during the summer season. Al-Maqatma said 20 people were killed in the Israeli bombing of the factory, including 2 of his brothers. A United Nations report said that Gaza war and economic restrictions in the Israeli-occupied West Bank have triggered the worst collapse in the Palestinian economy on record, wiping out decades of growth. The report by the UN Trade and Development Agency, or UNCTAD, said the Palestinian economy across the West Bank and Gaza contracted by 30% in 2024 compared with 2022, the benchmark being used to measure the impact of the 2-year Israel-Hamas war. It said that is the steepest fall since data collection began in 1972, exceeding previous economic downturns during the many conflicts since then, including the Second Intifada after the failure of peace talks in 2000. The report said the scale of the damage in Gaza after the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas means the enclave will be reliant on extensive international support for years to come.
The situation in Gaza is especially severe. Gaza is going through the fastest and most damaging economic collapse ever recorded. In 2024, its GDP contracted by 83% compared with 2023, following another sharp drop the previous year. GDP per capita fell to just $161, or less than 50 cents per day, among the lowest in the world.
At Haifa Bakery, another business which has been left in ruins, its manager and one of its owners, Tarek Awida, was overseeing repair work of equipment retrieved from under the rubble of the bakery's building. Awida said that his bakery used to employ around 45 workers, serving around 200,000 people and producing more than 4,000 loaves a day in partnership with the World Food Program. Awida said the bakery's revenues were at $8,000 a month before the war, adding that he and other owners are now paying for repair work from their own resources, renovating equipment to re-establish themselves in a new location nearby. Update on world events. Officials says a cyclone swept across Sri Lanka, leaving over 46 people dead and multiple more missing, with the weather department warning the storm could intensify as it moves across the island over the next 12 hours. Most fatalities were attributed to landslides triggered by torrential rainfall exceeding 300 millimeters over the past 24 hours as Cyclone Ditwa lashes the island nation, with the eastern and central regions most severely affected. Footage released by the Sri Lanka Air Force showed personnel rescuing stranded residents from rooftops in Kurunegala on Thursday while floodwaters engulfed homes in the surrounding areas. Nationwide, 43,991 people were evacuated to schools and other public shelters, the Disaster Management Center, or DMC, said in a statement, including families stranded on rooftops. Schools remained closed, train services were suspended, and the Colombo Stock Exchange announced an early trading halt as heavy rains persisted. Moving on to sports, France's Antoine Griezmann and Denmark's Nadia Nadim is awarded the 22nd Gold Foot Awards in Monaco, with His Serene Highness Prince Albert II presenting the honors. Nadim, widely celebrated for her contributions both on and off the pitch, received the award in the women's category. A qualified doctor and UNESCO champion for girls and women's education, Nadim was recognized not only for her distinguished football career, but also for her humanitarian and academic accomplishments. Griezmann, who has shown across spells at Real Sociedad, FC Barcelona, and Atletico de Madrid, was similarly celebrated. The forward cemented his legacy with key roles in France's triumphs at the 2018 FIFA World Cup and the 2021 UEFA Nations League. He joins a decorated list of past recipients, with the Golden Foot Award highlighting individual excellence in players aged 28 and above. The event also saw the unveiling of the first ever 24-karat gold plaque on the newly revamped Champions Promenade, featuring Prince Albert II's footprint from 2022. In addition to the main awards, the Golden Foot Legends 2025 inductees were announced. Christian Carambeau, part of France's 1988 World Cup winning side and a central figure in Real Madrid's success, was honored. Fellow Frenchman Alain Bourgassian, also part of the 1998 World Cup squad, joined him. Atletico de Madrid manager Diego Simeone, credited with transforming the Spanish club into a force with multiple titles since 2011, was also recognized for his achievements in both coaching and his playing career. And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.
ಮಗುಹುರಸ್ ಕುರಾರು ಖಣ ಫರಾತಶ ವಾಫರಾತ ಬಲ್ಲವ ಕುರಿಮಗ ರಾವಾಯರು ವೀಕಂತತಕಶ ವಮುಂದಾಕಂತತಕ ವಿಸ್ನವ